Hi, this is George with PaintReproductions.com. Today we're going to be going over the underpainting episode 1 for the Lake George reproduction. Okay, I have my prepped canvas right in front of me, and all I'm going to do right now is just go ahead and add my 6-inch blocks. Basically just add my grid lines to my canvas. So I'm just marking 2 areas with a 6-inch mark, and then I'm going to draw my straight lines on there. And this will give me my matching grid lines, which if you notice on the iPad in the upper right corner, we're going to kind of match those grid lines up there. So you'll see me use my proportional divider on here to get the, so we can start doing on this. In this first video, we're going to go ahead and just do the initial of the mountains. So once we get these snapped in, we could start with using our burnt umber paint to do the initial sketch. Okay, so I've got my I'm blocked in. Now what I'm going to want to do is take my proportional divider and I'm going to kind of line it up and match it up to just like the iPad. So you can do it, you can do it several different ways. If you watched a proportional divider class, you'll see where I've got it to here, and on this, and what I'm going to do right now is actually going to match the 6-inch block. So the same size 6-inch block is the same size on the canvas. Okay, so I'm going to keep adjusting it until I get it really close or perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some brown paint and I'm going to thin it down with Gamsol. You'll hear me mention this 100 times and 100 times more. The only time I ever thin paint down with Gamsol is if I'm just doing a sketch. Basically what I'm doing right here is nothing different than if you were using a pencil, and I'm using my paint. And once you start sketching with brown paint, especially thin down brown paint, the reason it's thinned down is because it dries so fast. So, and that's what we want for the initial sketch. So all I'm doing is taking that thin down paint, putting marks where I want to draw my lines to, how long something is, how wide something is, where the angle is, and then I'm just kind of sketching it all the way up through. So there's really not much to it. And then you're going to kind of sketch out and you can see where the next mountain meets the other mountain. We're not really doing detail in the underpainting. Our underpainting is just that. It just lays out the form, and we're going to take the brown paint and we're going to kind of shade it in using Q-tips, using our fingers, whatever we can find. But for this one, it's not a very detailed underpainting. So this is a great one if you're not familiar with underpainting. This is a really good video right here, or this is a really good course to deal with underpainting. Okay, so I've got the initial sketches going in, and I'm just double checking my lines where they're going in. You can see it's starting to match up already. It's not very difficult on this one. This painting will get a little more difficult when we start doing a lot of details on here. And what you're really gonna love is when we get into getting those, I call it the atmospheric effects, where we get at that distance and to get that feeling of a storm that's just, it's just passing through. It just passed and it's on its way out. To get that effect is going to take a little while and take a little bit of glazing, but it's not complicated glazing, and I know you're going to have a good time learning this. It's really going to change the way you look at a landscape. So I'm just continuing the same thing. I'm just marking where the main blocks of information are going, like this little island right here. And you'll see it's just not using a lot of paint. I'm not doing a lot of detail, and I'm just kind of blocking it in. Now, if you notice too, I'm always measuring from the inside. I'm not measuring from the outside. And what that means is the outside of the canvas, I'm not measuring in from the outsides because it changes. So you want to stay consistent, and it's always from the inside lines out. And whenever I'm sketching at something, I'm usually always choosing the same line. In other words, like I'm either going to use the left line of the block or the right line of the block or the top line or the bottom line. So, and it's just a way I do it to where I keep it about as consistent as I can, so I get so it stays pretty accurate. But for this rough part right here, is I'm not trying to get it 100%. I'm just trying to lay out where everything is and get a basic idea. So we're not trying to do like a finished sketch or a finished drawing. One of my most important things I learned from doing the reproductions is how to avoid to get this to look like a how to avoid to get this to look like a photograph and get it to look like a painting. And learning this technique right here goes a long way to that, because you're not drawing it on with a pencil. You're not drawing the whole thing on with a pencil and all the detail, and then you're painting it in. Because if that's the case, it's kind of like you're doing a paint by numbers, and we're trying to avoid that kind of look altogether. So it doesn't really matter which landscape you're doing, but as long as, if you're following this kind of effect right here and you want this kind of a style, which is more like a realism style, this is a nice project to work on right now. So I'm going to get some basic ideas of where the clouds are. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, a little bit heavier paint, I'm going to run it along the edges. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll pull that paint down. Like on this case, I'm just take a piece of paper towel, wrapped it up a little bit, and I'm pulling that paint down. And this is just a way of doing it. It's a way I've picked up that I'll use my fingertips, I'll use a brush, I'll use a scumble brush. You'll see me discuss scumble brushes as we go. All the scumble brushes is a detailed brush that I've cut in half. I've taken an old detail brush. Like right now I'm using a detailed brush to sketch this in. When I can't use this brush anymore, instead of throwing it away, I cut the top part of the tips off, and then I kind of smash it against the desk, or smash it against, a table, and it kind of makes it a wiry kind of look, and I use that as a blending brush. But for this case right here, we're not really getting details in here, so I'm going to pull paint from everywhere, use a Q-tip, and just kind of, or use a paper towel, squish something, but I will use Q-tip, I will use everything. I'm not going too dark on here, and I'll just put some more paint in, and I'll just keep pulling it down. And I'll reinforce the line. Again, because this isn't about really building any kind of detail. It's just about laying in the basic foundation. And that's all really an underpainting does. It lays in where everything is, and you kind of, you can just as easily have done this sketch probably without the grid lines and just do it in. But this is, it's a good habit to get into, to do it this way. As you can see, my line follows right along the top of my grid line follows right along the top of kind of like the segregation line between the water and the mountains, which works out pretty nice. So on the next mountains we're going to do is we're just going to get a little darker now. So all I'm going to do is I'm not going to try and paint it all darker. I'm just not going to pull down as much, and I'm going to kind of, you'll see what I mean, is I just add heavier paint. A lot of times too is what you can do is just let it dry, come back and just hit it with another coat if you want it darker. But as long as it's darker than the one, so it brings it forward. On this painting, we're going to spend a lot of time bringing stuff forward. And what I mean when you hear me use the term bringing stuff forward, thin layers in the back, heavy layers toward the front, and we're going to bring objects forward, and we're going to set stuff so it's in the back. And this is going to give it that realistic depth in there so it doesn't look flat. So as you can see here, all I did was just paint a little bit heavier. So just continue on doing the same thing, and we got about another 4 or 5 minutes in just this part to do the mountains. And then the next one right there, we'll actually be able to get this whole underpainting done in probably 2 sittings. So we'll be able to wrap it up in the next sitting. Okay, we're getting close to getting in. We kind of got the water in there. We're just smoothing it out. A little bit of shadow on the island right there, which is fine. We'll add some more shadowing as we go and darken it in. But we'll call this a sitting right here. We'll wrap this up, and then we'll wrap up the rest of the underpainting in the next video. Again, my name's George. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for joining and being a member. And if you have any questions, always just let me know. And you will start to see some classes, some live classes to go over some of this, especially when we get into the blocking and the glazing. So I want to thank you for viewing and have a good day.